Hey everybody, it's Aldo Gandhi, and I just want to let you know really quickly that our swag shop is reopened. DeepDishTees.com is where you go, and that's tees with T-E-E-S. Clever name, guys. They're the new home of our merchandise. You can get t-shirts, you can get caps, you can get coffee mugs, you can get hoodies, you can get all sorts of good stuff, and you'll help out the bar with the purchase. So head over to DeepDishTees.com.
Tino Antonacci made nothing but money off me. I'd be at Basta Pasta at 2 a.m. with 4 or 5 guys. We'd be off. There's no way he's going to get on the air tomorrow. No way. This one I was working from 10 to 2. Tino would go, I'll bet you $100 right now he's on the air tomorrow, and you won't even notice that he was out. So I'd come on. Hey, everybody, Mike North here on WSCR, The Score, along with Dan Jiggets. Mark, how you doing today? I'm doing good, Jigs. Everything going good. What'd you do last night? I was on the world tour last night, but you know me, when the red light goes on, and then we'd go to a break, I'd go, oh. And then we'd go back on. Bing, bang, boom. Right? Because nobody driving that's listening to me or any of the guys at The Score wanted to hear that shit, that you're hungover. Nobody wants to hear that. Hey, everybody, we're Metallica. We're tired from last night. They don't do that. Hey, I'm Mick Jagger. We're going to put on a show if we can, but we were out late last night, right? Hey, Sinatra, last night I was drunk till 4 a.m. We'll try to give you what you want. They just go out and do it. I live large.
Radio is scripted now. We just come up with it. We don't use computers. We don't rehearse. We're going to talk about this next. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the Bulls. And then we're going to have Brad Biggs on. And then we're going to have all this. No. If you don't know what you're going to talk about in the top of your head before a show, you shouldn't be in the business. I don't know what you got. I feel like Vince Vaughn in a couple's retreat. The Sharks are circling. Old school, baby.
You're listening to the Mike North Advantage, and it begins right now.
That's right. The Mike North Advantage starts right now. I am Aldo Gandia, Mike's wingman, and there he is in living color and high definition. Mike North, how are you, my friend?
I wore my wrinkleless bear shirt. I wore the oldest one I could find. The one that brings me back to disasters of yesteryear. Because I wanted to be remembered of the disasters of yesteryear with the disaster we have going on right now with Chicago Bear football, where we have a token head coach with somebody else telling him how it's going to be because everybody's job's in jeopardy. Mm-hmm. And now I've gone from wanting Dalton to start to just hoping Justin Fields' career doesn't get ruined in the next 4 weeks. And that's what I'm hoping for. It's entirely right now up in the air, but for sure nobody knows what they're doing over there. And when your job is on the line and you kowtow to the boss, which is foreign to me, because if my job was on the line, but I had to do certain things and I didn't like, well, then I left. That was it that time. Mm-hmm. After 16 years. Sorry, you don't want to give me this, you don't want to give me that. I'm going, well, you got to do this, you got to do that. No. If he had any self-respect, he'd leave now. Matt Nagy. If he had any self-respect, he'd get out now. Because I've been in this town my whole life. I've been following Bear football since I was a kid. I know BS when I see it. I know a ruse when I see it. The Bears think that they can put something over. An embarrassing day for Matt Nagy yesterday, who goes from Dalton is my absolute starter to now we're going to let Fields throw 7 interceptions maybe in the game and lose 50-0 when we had a playoff type of situation last year with another quarterback. It's just unacceptable. It's going to be a mess. I'm praying he gets through the 4 games. If you really wanted him to be a starter, you would have gotten him ready for the next 4 games by starting him from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
You put him in against Detroit, he almost got killed. And we almost lost that game. Now you have the Raiders, Green Bay, Tampa Bay, and San Francisco, and you decide to put this guy in there? I'm just praying he comes out okay. Mentally, he'll be hurt, but physically, I want him to be healthy. But that's iffy right now. I'll be surprised. Because they read the papers, the Bears, and they go accordingly. They go with the public or the media. They've done that forever. I will be surprised if the Bears are 0-4 and they stay with Fields. Because right now, they're only 1 game out. This whole situation is messed up. We'll start Fields. Everybody wants him now. Check with us in a month.
So you think that it's too early to put Justin Fields in and that he could learn more from being on the bench watching Andy Dalton play than being out there playing football?
He might win. He might surprise us and win 4 straight. And if you think that, you haven't watched their team this year. But the defense, like I said last week on other shows, because we were off last week, and by the way, folks, get us on YouTube, get us on Bears Barroom, get us anywhere you want. We're up to 12,600. Aldo has just done a tremendous job. All the people that do a great job on the shows, everybody. I don't have to name them. You know the Bear Barroom. I started when it was $49.95 years ago. It's up to 12,600. So congratulations on that. But I have no problem with Fields starting. Apparently, they think their team's not good enough. But you're 2-2 and 1 game out. I would ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
If Trubisky's here this year, do you think we're better off with him starting this game or Fields?
Well, you and I have talked about that perhaps the better scenario would have been to have Mitch Trubisky signed for a 1-year contract, similar to what he got at Buffalo or even more, because if you would have doubled what he's getting in Buffalo, he still would be making less than Andy Dalton. And then draft your quarterback and then have a quarterback battle. Then that way you have an experienced guy with the offense and Mitchell Trubisky, and then you got the heir apparent if Trubisky doesn't work out. That's pretty simple business, but that's not the way that they think over at Hallishaw.
No, especially now that Nagy has lost the locker room. There's no question about it. And I also believe this, and this is not being discussed. What role did the players have? What role did the players have in doing this?
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that many of the players went with the younger guy and think that they can go there with him.
Mm-hmm.
The window's closing for many of these players. If that was the case, I think that's a huge mistake because it would be a miraculous thing. If they listen, I want Justin Fields to throw 3 touchdowns this week. Then it's over. Then you have nothing else to say. But when you say he's going to play no matter what happens if they lose 4 games in a row, 35-0?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to keep watching that kid out there? I mean, it's a scenario.
Right.
But it sounds as ridiculous as him saying we win every game 35-0.
Right.
But I would hopefully think, and believe me, folks, I didn't want this. I'm a Trubisky guy. Well, before that, I was a Deshaun Watson guy. I didn't want this. So I'm trying to figure out how people that continually stub their toe continually do this. We already know we have a lame duck coach as far as who's in charge.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Lazor will call the plays. I would have let Nagy go after this whole fiasco and made Bill Lazor the interim coach.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah.
Have your defense handled by their end, by the coaches. Bill Lazor. I mean, Trubisky became a different quarterback and won 4 out of 5. And last week, all the Justin Fields fans, and I'm not a fan, but I'm not a hater, all gushed about Detroit. Mitch Trubisky was 5-1 with Matthew Stafford at quarterback. So don't try to impress me because they're a mess. They're worse than the Bears. But the problem is the front office of Detroit will get it right now because they got Spielman up there. They got some people that actually might know what they're doing for the first time, but they're a mess. So to beat Detroit, we're happy. Let's see what happens in the next 4 games.
One of the things, though, that was very impressive about Justin Fields in that Detroit game was the fact that he had a lot of explosive plays, these deep passes.
True.
And, of course, the play calling helped.
That's a tremendous catch, and that's not accurate throw.
That is absolutely correct.
That's a quick throw.
It would, yes. That first one would have been a touchdown if he threw it accurately. You're absolutely right.
Incomplete.
Yeah. But this is a tremendous throw.
Tremendous throw.
And the next one on the sideline to Mooney is also an absolutely spectacular play. It's reminiscent of that one play. That one play that Trubisky threw right at the sideline that went into review. It was a big game. I'm forgetting the game, but
I remember.
Yeah. So the thing that is exciting a lot of Bears fans is that Fields comes from an offense where there was a lot of explosive plays, and we haven't seen that in a long time with a Bears quarterback.
We had a quarterback that threw 6 touchdowns in one game. We had a quarterback that threw 4 in another game. We had a quarterback that won 29 games. I'm not here to disparage anybody else, including Justin Fields, but I hope he has the same type of career as the guy we had. Bottom line is the guy we had didn't want to come back. That being said, you're right about that. Those throws are beautiful, okay? He can run out of trouble. I think that came into play because of the offensive line. But I'm just worried about one thing with him, fumbling. He's fumbled but recovered his own fumbles.
Twice, yeah.
But he looks like a fumbler right now. That doesn't mean he's going to ever fumble again.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the one thing I'm looking at, that when he does get hit, he gives up the ball. In the National Football League, unless you're really, really good, or unless, well, there were some fumblers. Dave Craig was a huge fumbler.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's been guys that have been successful, but then they end up being second string and not playing on championship teams.
Yeah.
So hopefully he'll secure that ball a little bit more. And like I said, I am not a hater. I just think that saying that he's going to be better off these next 4 games is speculation, because he could be worse these next 4 games. But you've seen Aikman, you've seen Manning, and other guys have poor records and throw interceptions and then go on. So hopefully that's the case. Hopefully this crew who's had 3 different redemptions now, this is another redemption for them.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get it right. But basically, there would be an argument that the way this has all been handled, they all should have been gone.
Yeah. Well, what do you say to Twin 129, who says Fields will be a better quarterback than Trubisky, hands down? And he also goes on to say Trubisky fumbled too. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts are, how can you say that? Trubisky was a starter, and now you're saying he's second string. Well, so is Justin Fields. So is Andy Dalton. The play calling, all of a sudden, Nagy, it was not. I think everybody agrees now. And next year, Mitch Trubisky will have his pick of 4 or 5 teams, including Washington, including Miami, including what I'm hearing, and Green Bay, including some other teams. Because you know what? Like I told Eldo, and Eldo agreed, they could have drafted Fields with Trubisky, but the relationship was ruined. But if anybody thinks, I'll be shocked. I was shocked this year. I don't know what Mitch's plan was, but they love him in Buffalo. They probably don't want him to leave. Who knows? He might sign for more money to stay there. But I'll be shocked if there's not an offer on the table, because there's no quarterback class coming out this year. So he's a 3.5-year starter out of 5 years who's got nothing but good stats on his side. And when you look at 60, I don't know about the fumbles. We can look it up, Aldo, if you'd like.
Mm-hmm.
But I know.
But your point is that in 2 games as a starter, he's fumbled twice.
Yeah,
and so that's a fumble per game average. So
I don't think Trubisky fumbled once a game. That's all I'm going to say. And it's too early. Like I said, Justin Fields never said it again. Trubisky wasn't ruined. I want everybody to quit listening or reading, whoever you're reading, and go to stats. Or maybe Aldo could put them up. Because even the guys at Visson, Paulie Howard and Mitch Moss, I put the Twitter out. Twice they mentioned me. Maybe North was right. Then those guys stick to their guns. But they've seen this whole fiasco. And last week, if you go to Twitter, on my handle, North to North, go look for it. Maybe North was right. Music to my ears on national television.
Well, you're getting a lot of pushback in the chat
Of course
room.
I am. The masses have been pushing back against me since Cutler, which I was right again. The masses have been pushing out against me since Wani. There is no proof that Justin Fields will ever be put up the stats that Mitch Trubisky has or be in 2 playoffs in 4 years. None.
Do you think that?
Oh, by the way, Trubisky had a 65% completion percentage. So tell your story walking.
But the issue with Trubisky's completion percentage is that those were a lot of short passes.
Well, that's not his fault.
Well, it could be in that perhaps the coaching staff didn't trust him to go.
So
deep.
Allen Robinson never caught a long pass from Trubisky. You just told me he caught a beauty.
Well, yeah, but we're talking about frequency.
They don't throw bombs every down.
Justin Fields threw for 5 explosive plays against the Lions on Sunday.
And what did he do the week before?
And Trubisky, well, that was the starting game, and you know that the play calling was atrocious for that game.
Okay, so now we're back to the play calling, which I put in hand with Trubisky too. Look, the defense of Nagy still, after seeing what we've seen, and the blame of Trubisky, who made him look good, is appalling. It's crazy. And once again, if anybody wants to, I don't know if even Eldo wants to go to Trubisky stats because it blows up the narrative. It blows up the narrative. Fox did this Sunday, Al, and this is my point. They said, I think it was Gus Johnson, and they put up these stats. They said since Cutler left, the Bears were 34-33 with 5 other quarterbacks. Okay? And
I saw that. Yes. A joke.
I mean, I was appalled. They actually sold fake news. The other 4 quarterbacks were 5-12. Trubisky was 29-21. Now I want everybody in America to look at this and tell me he's a bust. Because Buffalo's not stupid. They got 5 times the better organization than the Chicago Bears. And I would like to ask Aldo or anybody else, regardless of preseason, Trubisky exposed Nagy in the Buffalo Bear game, and they rubbed it in to show who was in the right. But everybody's forgotten about that. Even after this whole debacle, they're still hanging on to Nagy's belt loop. It's appalling. Well, look at those stats. What's wrong with them? What, we're going to go by average? 2 6-yard passes is a first down. That's my world. 99, look at a quarterback rating, 99.7. I mean, that's unbelievable. You get rid of a guy with those numbers.
No, well, the quarterback rating is for 2 passes, Mike. You can't count that. But Jawan Evans,
you're right. Then I'll do this one. The one that's 87, highest Bears ever. Got any retort to that?
There is no 87. I don't see a QBR rating of 87.
Rating right next to it.
53, 41.
No, Eldo, RTG, 87.3. Yeah. It's the highest ever for the Chicago Bears.
No. That's Buffalo's 85. You're talking about the 93.5 and 20.
No, I'm telling you that he has. No, I'm telling you, go to the left, look at 85 above, look at 93 in 2020, look at 83, look at 95. I will say it again because it's true. That's the highest rated Bear quarterback of all time. Period. Look it up. 87.
I'm still not convinced with your argument, but
go look it up.
But it's
look up who's the highest Bear quarterback of all time. I'm not going to debate it. I know it. Who's the highest rated Bear quarterback of all time? He's number 1. Okay, wait a minute. Go to 93 in 2020. Go to 83 in 2019.
I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to start hunting for stats in the middle of the show. That just destroys the flow. But your argument is you're not taking into account some of the characteristics needed for an NFL quarterback in today's age, which is accuracy with downfield passes. And that's what Mitchell Trubisky had a problem with, even if it was bad play calling, because we saw Mitchell Trubisky miss so many downfield passes. It was ridiculous. He did not see the field well. He always zeroed in on his number 1 target.
And how do we make the playoffs?
because of a great defense in
No, we won
2018.
4 out of 5. The defense, not last year. How did we win 4 out of 5? Because you're thinking back to 2018, which I will give you that. Not last year. He came back and won 4 out of 5, and I think most Bear fans agree he played pretty well considering who was calling the plays. The bottom line is you do what you got to do to win. You're in love with stats. I'm in love with wins. It's very simple.
I'm not in love with stats. I'm in love with what I see and with
29 and 21. What's wrong with it?
There's nothing wrong with that, but you cannot attribute wins and losses solely to the quarterback.
You cannot ignore the quarterback either.
And
How come every other quarterback is touted when they win? And our quarterback that we developed ourselves takes criticism. You know what? I go 29-21. You go 6.7 yards a pass. I have a different way of looking at things. I want to win football games. Now, Justin Fields does this, but I just think it's tough with those stats. I just think with those stats that we let him go, we'll see what happens next year. Because you might be right, Aldo. Maybe, just maybe, I'm missing the point, missing the boat. If he goes back as a second stringer next year, I got to shut up.
Well, we'll see. And when you say that, why is Mitchell Trubisky picked on, even though he's got this winning record? And I think that the reason why is because those opportunities that he failed to capitalize on, those open guys downfield that he's failed to see.
I understand, but like I said, 6 yards a pass is a first down. I will tell you this: no quarterback was going to be there in Rodgers. You sit there after Cutler went 1-13, and I know every year you wanted him. Mm-hmm. So I just find the whole thing crazy. How can he go 1-13 against Green Bay, and we sign him to 8 years at $118 million? Yet Trubisky goes 1-4, and he's let go. So I mean, I could go back and see inconsistencies everywhere. I heard for 8 years that a Denver Bronco castoff was going to be our franchise quarterback. It never worked out that way. The franchise quarterback, unfortunately, was Aaron Rodgers. Nothing's changed. Mitch Trubisky, it took him 5 games to win 1 game. Cutler had 1-13. Yet if you go back and read all the articles, everybody was for his re-signing, except me, because I didn't want him signed from the beginning. So I'm just trying to figure out the rules. Cutler could throw deep, but he lost when it counted. And he never. And how do you go with the fact that Trubisky played in 2 playoff games in 4 years and Cutler played in 1 for 8? Is there an explanation?
Yeah, but
and I could also say the defense back then with Urlacher, Briggs. If we want to start talking about defenses, the defense Cutler had was better than the defense that the Bears have now. And if I got to argue about that, then you didn't watch the games, folks. You know, so
what do you say?
That's where I stand. I'm not going to be convinced. See, I'm forced to keep defending Trubisky. I don't have to.
You're not forced to. You're not forced to. You keep bringing it up.
Yeah, you know why? Because other people say, because guys like you say he was a bust.
He was 31 other teams.
You go ahead. Say Mitch Trubisky was a bust on the air. Go ahead.
Trubisky is not.
Just say that.
No. Here's what I want to say.
Okay.
Trubisky is not a starting quarterback in the NFL. He has not proven that to me yet.
And how did he go 29-21 starting?
Because of the team around him.
So does Tom Brady. They had a good defense last year. So do a lot of teams that win. Defense wins games. I understand it, but you need a quarterback that can help facilitate that. And to say that he had nothing to do with it, especially the last 5 games last year, is just bias. It's just bias. If you watch the games, he actually made Nagy's offense work, but it was too far gone. And I've seen Trubisky since. Wants nothing to do with him. Yeah, I do love Mitch Trubisky. You're damn right. And we went with Andy Dalton. I'm going to ask everybody this. Who would you have rather had start the year, Dalton or Trubisky? And if you say Dalton, then we're done. I can't discuss it anymore.
How do you explain Mitchell Trubisky's 0-2 postseason record?
How do you explain Cutler's 0-1 record in
No.
8 years?
We're not talking about Cutler. I'm asking you about Trubisky. Don't switch the subject. It's not about what about that guy. What about that guy? That's an easy argument to make. You have to explain to me why Mitchell Trubisky never won a playoff game. You keep saying that he got us into the playoffs, but he didn't win.
No, I said he helped get us in the playoffs, and he played in 2 and 4 years. What I'm trying to tell you is to get rid of a quarterback that's the highest rated quarterback and has the best completion percentage by Bear quarterbacks of all time.
And you say I love stats, and you say I love stats when you keep bringing that up, and those stats are meaningless because he can't find an open receiver downfield, because he can't win playoff games, because he just doesn't have the material to be a number one quarterback. And 31 other teams said that when they refused to offer him.
Come back next year and come back and tell me that next year. But I will also tell you this: Allen Robinson will never catch 90 balls this year. He caught 200 with Trubisky, but I guess he's not a good quarterback. He caught 200 in 2 years. Allen Robinson caught 200 passes in 2 years, mostly by Trubisky. But I guess he threw the ball to himself, folks. He threw it to himself. He was asking for $20 million based on his stats. Who threw him the football? And you want to know something? I remember talking to Carmen DeFalco, our good friend Aldo, on ESPN 1000. He says, geez, the over-under is 94 for Robinson. That's going to be easy to beat. Oh, really? I'll take the under right now. Anybody want to put 1,000 up? Because I said he'd be the guy, and Aldo knows this, hurt the most in free agency. And you know what? Maybe he wanted Justin because he doesn't believe in Dalton. But they're very quiet about Mitch. They don't bum rap Mitch, and they got a lesson. They got a whipping when Mitch came back to town, preseason or not. Vindicated. I like it with ice with a little splash of ginger ale.
I love this debate. This is awesome. Mike, will you put $100 to win, or excuse me, $220 to win 100 against the Raiders and Bills? If you put,
no, I want the Bears to win.
Okay,
I want the Bears to win. I want Justin Fields to do well.
What about against the spread?
We didn't have, you know what? I watched The Sopranos. I watched The Sopranos marathon.
Yeah.
This is the Italian coming. Whether you like Trubisky, whether you like Dalton, whether you like Fields, whether you like Glennon, whether you like, the same people that believe in Nagy now have been through a gauntlet of quarterbacks with him, and they still will find time to blame Mitch when Foles was supposed to take his job. That being said, I watched The Sopranos and every other episode, and I think Aldo and all Bear fans will agree with this. It didn't have to be this way. There had to be a better way than to start Dalton, throw my guy Fields, into the without an offensive line, and with Montgomery out for 5 weeks.
Yeah,
my God. I just pray he survives.
Mike, you make a very good point there. That one is one that I agree on. So it's going to be.
They have no offensive line for the kid, so he's got to run. Yeah. He's going to run for his life. You lose your main running back.
Yeah.
Allen Robinson, like I predicted at the beginning of the season, will be double teamed. They don't know. None of them know. And as well, while we're talking about Nagy's play calling, is it Mitch's fault that the tight end is ignored in this offense? He's gone. Why isn't the tight end, who was involved more last year, being involved more this year? We got 3 tight ends. We don't even throw to them. It's crazy.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people are asking, did you see any of Matt Nagy's press conference after the win against the Detroit Lions? And he kept trying to find credit, despite the fact that he wasn't calling plays. It sounded like he was being a bit defensive. Your thoughts?
I'm with everybody. Listen, Bear fans, Bear Barroom fans, YouTube fans, people that follow me on Twitter. By the way, 7-3 my last 4 days picking games. We got games coming up. Yeah, it's about time. I went 3-2 Sunday in a media pool. I was 0-5 the week before. I was looking for rope. Here's what I want. I want the Bears, and don't misconstrue this. I'll always love Mitch Trubisky, and I'll follow him. But I've been on record. I want the Bears to win. This is the year we can do this. I just think the timing's wrong. I like Trubisky Fields. If you could draft Jordan Love while you have Aaron Rodgers, or you could draft Aaron Rodgers while you have Brett Favre, and Mitch Trubisky was in his last year, but Mitch Trubisky didn't want to come back.
Mm-hmm.
So what Nagy did was expose himself as a guy. I always learned from being in retail that the hot dogs didn't make themselves. I always learned being and working for the city in the Chicago Park District that Warren State Park didn't get cut by me alone. There was a team. Okay? So the problem I have here is this in the best interest of the team, because somebody brought up something the other day on Twitter, I forget who it was, and said, it's Matt Nagy. Once Nagy said Dalton was going to be the starter, Monday, he said, this guy on Twitter, I think it might have been Chernoff, somebody like that from a national guy. It's not Matt Nagy's job to develop a quarterback at this point. It's his job to win games. And now all of this is in doubt, not because of the players, but because of the dysfunction upstairs and who's calling the play. You don't think me and Eldo would be in the locker room today going, boy, that was about face. Who the hell's made that decision? They know Nagy didn't make it. So now Eldo and I are saying, well, this ain't even the man. So that's a big, big deal to me. I think Allen Robinson in his free agent year not being prevalent right now is a big, big deal. Montgomery being hurt is a big, big deal. But the offensive line that could get Justin killed is a big, big deal. And all we're focusing on is that Fields gets to maybe go 1-3 or at best 2-2. Because I'll be stunned if he goes 4-0. If he's 4-0, he's Mahomes. He's the new Mahomes.
Yeah.
But the nonsense, we couldn't get into the playoffs when Aaron Rodgers with Mitch, when we did twice, and Aaron Rodgers is in our division, I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Since, I think it's pretty good. And losing a playoff game, it's all 53 guys, but I'm not going to dispel Mitch's responsibility in that. I'm not a guy that thinks the quarterback's just another player. Everywhere else, the quarterback's important. Here, defense, running. No, the quarterback's important to me. But I'm not, so I'm going to blame him too for those losses. Okay? But we were there. And it's hard to win a Super Bowl unless you're there. Let's see if we get into the playoffs this year, because if we don't, we took a step down.
Fair enough. And Mule Skinner has an excellent point in your defense. Says Trubisky put the Bears in position to win with great throws in the Eagles game. It was Cody Parkey who denied him that playoff
They
win.
win that game, they win the Super Bowl, and Trubisky's here for a 5-year extension.
You might exactly be right, because I had them favored to go to the Super Bowl too.
Everybody did, and it's Parkey, and now he gets signed. Parkey just got re-signed again.
Right.
I mean, you know what? It's a joke that Cody Parkey is going to be a starter in the league and Mitch Trubisky's not. It's a joke.
That is
because all it took was that kick.
Yeah. And Isa Cass makes an interesting point here. Mitch is better than Jared Goff, Cousins, Dalton, and Fields. Stop. He can start most teams are stuck with salary cap.
Yeah, I mean, who are you going to do? Look at Els. Last year was the greatest quarterback class. And 3 of those 5 teams, maybe 4 of those 5 teams, will regret their picks. Okay? Then you had quarterbacks already entrenched. But right now, if Mitch Trubisky, and he'll sign as a starter next year, Mitch Trubisky, after only 3.5 years, healthy, 26 years old, started 50 games, was developed by another team when people don't even know it, will be a better number one. It will be like a number 1 pick for that team, and as good as the 5 guys that were number 1 picks this year.
Yeah.
I don't think I could say Trevor Lawrence was better than Mitch. I don't think I could say Justin is yet. Maybe he will be. Trey Lance isn't better than Mitch. And now the kid from New York who won his first game. I saw Trevor Lawrence throw 7 interceptions his first 3 weeks. So I'm never going to say that any of these guys are better than Mitch. It's a disservice to a starter who brought a team that's never had a quarterback to certain points, and Nagy actually developed it. But then when he put, and isn't this funny? I think I said this. You and I talked about this about 3-4 weeks ago, but that's like 10 years ago to an older man like myself. I think you and I said that, I'm trying to remember. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think we said that 3 or 4 of those quarterbacks would have problems, you know, and they are. And it's growing pains. So I think the failures of the other guys has made it easier to put Fields in. I do. I really do.
But all of those quarterbacks did have impressive games this past Sunday. So the thinking is that after 3 or 4 games, perhaps they're starting to get the hang of NFL football. And perhaps that's why the Matt Nagy's bosses says, put Justin in, and after 3 or 4 games, he should be fine if he follows suit like these other quarterbacks.
Yeah, let's hope so, because I don't know if those other look, they all go to bad teams. It's an injustice to all of them. Okay. But Fields went to a playoff team. So did Dalton. So you name me the other quarterbacks that went to a team as good as the Bears. Trevor Lawrence didn't. I mean, look at Trey Lance he's not a starter. They took him for the future. So the quarterbacks that have been taken, and really, I think people would say Justin Fields is now got the best situation out of those other guys. I mean, the kid that plays for the Jets, he doesn't have a good situation.
Yeah, that's a bad situation over there.
And let me ask everybody this. And this is going to happen with Mitch. I want everybody to listen to me closely. Sam Darnold isn't as good as Mitch, but he went to another team. Now he's good. Watch what happens next year. Oh, Washington will be interested in him too. With Chico Rivera. You don't think these teams know that there's nothing out there in college, and that Mitch Trubisky, under Daboll and the Buffalo Bills, are trying to undo something that was already pretty good? So I'm anxious to see what happens, but we got bigger fish to fry. If we win this game this week, and it's winnable, because Carr takes as much heat as Mitch Trubisky does. They're 3-1 and he's taking heat. So every quarterback goes through this. But if they win this game and we go 3-2, you shut the door on any other quarterback. Yep. I'll give them that right now.
All right, let's talk about.
Wait, can I take a rest?
I know, man, you are on fire, brother.
Thought it was 96 again.
You need some water or something?
No.
Oh, I don't want you to cool off.
Hold on.
I want you to stay
You know what I do when I really am, when I got to get back in the mold and talk about.
Really?
Okay, let's go.
All right. As you notice, I'm wearing White Sox t-shirt, White Sox hat. Today they are back in the playoffs, and I want you to talk about what your thoughts are on this game. The White Sox, of course, finished first in the AL Central with a 93-69 record. The only team in the division with a winning record, and they're playing the Astros, who finished 95-67, and then are making the postseason for the 5th straight year. Bang the drum.
Well, like I said on Twitter this morning, the same group of characters that says Mitch wasn't any good are the guys that said don't sign Russa. I am vindicated once again. Give me my second drink, will you please, Aldo? And put a splash of seltzer in it. Okay. Vindication tastes so good because Aldo was here when the onslaught of Tony La Russa with the cold words, the game has passed him by. He'll lose the clubhouse. He'll lose the locker room. That's code for I'm a bigoted ageist, and I don't like older, successful people. We'll take a younger person because it makes us feel more comfortable, and we don't like old people, even though you will be old someday yourself. Trust me, but you won't be as good. Because if you don't learn from your elders, you'll never learn. And there's a whole bunch of people in broadcasting and in writing and journalism that don't learn from their elders. They think they're it right now. And you're not. You're not it. I can name you one guy that's older in the broadcasting business, believe me, I won't name him, that you couldn't stay with if you were against him. But that's neither here nor there. Tony La Russa was hated because of Drinky and because of Oldie. Oldies and the Drinkies. That's it. It had nothing to do with strategy. I think it had to do with people that are bigots. They are. If you're bigoted against Tony La Russa, and now today I look at it. I look at the Sun-Times, and on the back it says, older guys make the day. La Russa and Baker. Now, what Eldo always asks me is, Mike, how did you do it? Well, really, it's my mother. But she says, how did you? Because, Mom, I dug. I wasn't lazy. You know what I looked up? November 11th. Look up the Sun-Times.
Okay.
The same newspaper. You know what it says?
Mm-hmm.
Reinsdorf by hiring of La Russa condescending.
Ooh, interesting.
So the same paper. And I read Chuck Swirsky because that's where I saw it. He goes, how clever. No, this is the same paper that said he wouldn't pan out.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you something. The people in the media in this town, and maybe nationally, that believed in La Russa with me, I could have a party in a Volkswagen Beetle, and there'd be room for a dining room table. All right? And now everybody's a Tony La Russa fan. You're all a bunch of hypocrites. It's nothing new in the media. It's been what I've been fighting for 30 years. I ain't going away, folks. You got to have one. You know why? You know why? You know why numbers are down in a lot of sports venues, nationally and some locally? I agree. Hey, wait a minute. La Russa's going to be all right. Oh, you're an idiot. You're a moron. You're an idiot. No, you're all idiots. You're all idiots. I'm proud once again not to be in the idiot category. You're all idiots because I'm going to tell you something. Nobody saw them winning this year easily. Now, I know the other teams were bad, but who made them bad? Who beat them? I mean, I see misleading headlines all the time. How about this one? Yankees are like 64% in the playoffs over the last 50 games, right?
Right.
Until you see they were 16-2 against the Twins. Then they have a losing record.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know that. I dig. I find out things. That's how I made millions. I wasn't lazy. I didn't go with the crowd. There are people that don't want to go against the grain, and Aldo knows I live for this because, because they can't take the abuse. They can't. Mike North don't care. I'll take the abuse. And you're damn right I've never apologized. You apologize, you're finished. You're naggy. You kowtow, you're naggy. You're not your own man. Hey, you know what? I love all these people. Here's what I would do. They're afraid to ask their boss for 20-cent raise. You wouldn't do anything. None of you.
I love this. This is, we should package this and put it out like a self-help, Mike North.
I'm just trying to get it on my feet, okay? Let me wave the flag. It is possible. I think it's the Afghanistan situation.
I love this. This is like really good self-help.
Besides the other 6 shows, I'm not bad. The other 6 shows are real good. Buffon, the Parisis. I ran into the Parisis the other night. Did I tell you?
No.
Yeah. They didn't ask me to listen. They told me to. I'm just kidding. I love them. I watched them the other night for as long as I could. They were mad at each other. You know what? They were mad at each other from the beginning. I said, me and Eldo take 5 minutes at least to say hi.
Oh, my ego says Mike rolled out of bed, hit the scotch, and said, "Duck you," okay?
I haven't drank for 16 years, but I miss it badly.
When you did drink, what was your drink of preference?
Oh, what was it? Let me tell you something. I drank gallons of liquor, and I'm here to talk about it, which is a damn. Look, one night I drink bottles of champagne.
Mm-hmm.
I took my buddies. We drink bottles of champagne. A couple nights later, we're drinking gin and tonics.
Mm-hmm.
So after a softball game, we're drinking beer. I'm the only guy that somebody said to me one time, They saw me start on vodka and switch over to homemade wine. And somebody said to me, you never mix the grain or the grape. I said, maybe that's the rule, but I don't think so. And I used to mix the grain and the grape, and he was right. I would feel terrible. The worst hangover is the wine hangover.
Yeah.
There's no red wine hangover. You basically are looking for a spear, okay, to throw at yourself. But no, those were the days. But you know what? I had my good time. Now I'm actually coherent enough to argue with people.
Well, it's funny that we're talking about this because at the start of the show, I played that clip from the Mike North story that will premiere in 2022. Mike sharing his fun days at the Score Sports.
You think this is a good show today? Wait till you hear the alphabet, kids.
That's right.
You ain't seen nothing yet, and neither has anybody else. It's going to shock the industry, I think, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah, vodka, sugar, water, and yeast. I don't need the ingredients.
He needs the hangover cure.
I know pizza's not the best thing for you, but I don't have to start checking.
All right, so I want to get your thoughts on this series. Do you think the White Sox have a chance? Because not that I want to debate you again. I don't get
I'm not debating this.
Okay, no, but
we don't know. We don't know. Just like Fields, we don't know yet. We don't.
Right.
We can make predictions.
Right. Absolutely. So my thought is this: if Tony La Russa does not win this playoff series against Houston, then we should have kept Renteria because he basically did the same thing that Renteria did last season. Got the team into the playoffs and then got knocked out in the first round.
Agreed. But you know what? I'll do your little thing with Trubisky. How come nobody has hired Renteria?
Well, you know why. I don't know why.
If you're arguing Tony La Russa with 5,200 victories isn't a step up, then we're really going to have a debate. I will tell you this. Anybody who wants to argue with me about it didn't want him to begin with. So that's the same way with Mitch. See, what happens to me, and it really pisses people off, is I ruin narratives. The squares have their narratives, and I come in and I go, well, how come this happened? How come that happened? And then those people will see it on Twitter, but they won't retweet or favorite. They won't because it makes them look bad. Bottom line is this. If Tony La Russa loses, we will have the stragglers, Aldo. If the White Sox lose, we will have the stragglers that will say, oh, see, La Russa was too old. No. When was the last time the White Sox played a meaningful game?
It's been a while. Yep.
And why do you think? Because and should it have been a while when the White Sox lost like 6 guys at the beginning of the season with injury? See, Renteria, if they lose that many people last year, I think they got a problem. Okay. Plus, you had guys early that didn't produce, like Grandel. He's producing now. I mean, you know what? I like how he's producing.
Yeah.
But he's producing after this thing was settled.
Yeah.
Period. I mean, that's the way it is.
Okay.
I'm worried about the defense with 2 guys. Our shortstop, who has to make spectacular plays in these games. And I think he's a good shortstop, a great hitter. He'll win the game maybe with his bat. I'm worried about the glove with Timmy. I hope he has a good season, but there were balls that other shortstops can get to that Timmy can't. But he picks up most everything, which was a gripe with me before. So that's okay. He's got to pick up the ball, and Grandel has got to play better defense. He's got to, and you know what? The Astros are favored. So if they lose, it goes the way it was supposed to. You know, I will tell you this. The White Sox will never take the heat, or they shouldn't, because I think they're going to be in the playoffs for the next 5-6 years. Okay? Especially in the easy division. But Atlanta was in the an easy division, and they had great players. And what they win? 1 World Series in 12 years?
Yep.
With 3 stud pitchers?
Yeah.
I mean, to me, Bobby Cox, he was a great manager. No, he wasn't. You couldn't win the big game. Marv Levy is crapped on for getting to the Super Bowl 4 times. Okay? He's not put up on a pedestal because you got to win the big games. La Russa's done that. We're better off with La Russa. If they lose, it will be because they're younger and they're pitching. I mean, Houston's got good pitching. Houston's got good hitting. Houston leads of the American League. Aldo's going, Boy, the week off did Mike good. This is unbelievable.
This is. It's fired up.
Houston has if you look at the stats, number one offense in the American League.
Right.
So the Sox are going to be going up against a better offense with some people that have already been there. And I believe, Aldo, I asked you earlier, when was the last meaningful game they played? It has to be the Field of Dreams game. There's a national TV audience. That's it. Yeah. They have not been tested. They've been tested to win, but they had a coast ride. See, the 2005 Sox almost blew it. These guys, so I'm hopeful, but I will never blame the player. If the team loses, it's a team loss. If the team loses, it's a team loss, and we'll come back next year because this team sort of reminds me. Here I come back to the Bears. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Of the '83 Bears.
Interesting.
Sort of reminds me of the '83 Bears. The best is yet to come. Only the White Sox will appear. I believe if they keep this team together, add some pitching, they should be relevant for 5-6 years. But then again, I thought the Cubs were going to be relevant for a decade.
Yeah.
And I'm watching. Congratulations to my man Carmen DeFalco, who caught Schwarber and Rizzo hitting a home run in the playoffs. Plus 1,500. He's a hot handicapper right now,
man. All right, that's good for him.
Yeah.
What do you think about what Chubb says here? He says Tony La Russa is not playing in any of these games. If they lose, it isn't going to be because of him. It's going to be because of the players didn't get it done.
I think it's a combination. I think that they win because La Russa's their manager, but I also think because of the players. I got to be honest with you. I know people say, and I said the rebuild wouldn't work. Okay. And it wasn't. It was sort of like the Cubs rebuild. If you don't pick up Lynn, older guys, okay, like the Cubs picked up Arrieta, like the Cubs picked up Hendricks. See, you get the rebuild to a point, and I give Rick Hahn all the credit in the world for that. But then you got to add the veterans, and that's where they got the job done. For instance, if anybody's going to ask me, what's the main thing that Tony La Russa did? Lance Lynn came to play for him, nobody else. He believed in Tony La Russa, and if La Russa isn't managing, or if he's somewhere else, I don't think Lance Lynn pitches for the White Sox and to be the opening starter. What do you think?
I agree with you. Yeah. Totally agree with you.
He said it, and here was the next thing. I knew they were going to do good when everybody predicted he's lost the locker room with Mercedes, and he didn't.
Right.
When Timmy Anderson and Abreu basically said, and shut the bleep up, he's our guy. I'm going, wait a minute. If he's so old, how come a young guy like Tim Anderson or Abreu got his back like nobody I've ever seen? The last time I saw players have a guy's back like this, I mean, the Cincinnati Reds, for instance, the great Red Machine, they never said, we knew they had the players, but they always gave Sparky Anderson credit. And I'm going to myself, Aldo and I could have managed that team, okay? But they always gave him credit because the manager makes out the lineup. He decides who's going to sit. He starts the mojo with the pre-games, and he's got to make moves in the game.
I got a question that is about both sports, football and baseball. Who do you think has more influence on the team, an NFL head coach or a Major League Baseball manager?
In Chicago, the White Sox, Tony La Russa has more influence than Nagy and Ross, in my opinion. I think Billy Donovan has pretty good reign with the Bulls. The Blackhawks thing is a mess, even though Taves is back. So I think in this town, Tony La Russa has sway. It would be interesting where Boston is right now with Alex Cora, the fixer, who got another chance because they would have exposed all of baseball.
Right.
But it's interesting how they look at Belichick now. I think he's still the king. But with the Red Sox, who were awful last year, I think Alex Cora's got a good – I'm not going to be a hater. I bet Boston the other night. So apparently him fixing something 2 years ago had no bearing on me going with him. So I think there's certain towns that have sway that other towns don't. I think the Atlanta Braves definitely have more sway than the Falcons. You know what I mean? I mean, that's a mess. They have a coach I never heard of, and this guy Smith, Arthur Smith. I don't know about Philadelphia, Girardi and the new guy in Philly coaching football, but in Chicago, it's Tony. I think Tony La Russa is the king right now.
Well, if he wins this series against the Astros, there will be building statues. They'll be getting dimensions out for a future statue for Tony. That's for sure. Mule says that he had a drink where he mixed Scotch and Ripple. Just a Ripple would make me sick, Mule.
So I'm in my first year of high school.
Oh no!
Me and my buddies say, let's buy some Ripple. Or some not Mad Dog 2020 back then. It was Ripple. My drink of choice. Now you're talking to a guy who ended up drinking like Dom and Cristal.
Yeah, right.
When I was 15, 14, my drink of choice was Boone's Farm Apple. Okay,
that was sugar water,
right?
with a little alcohol.
So my mom makes spaghetti one night. On a Friday. And then I go, like, time to go, Mom, we're going out. We find the guy that used to buy us our beer. We put our money together. We buy there's 4 of us. We buy 2 bottles of Boone's Farm. Move the scene forward. Aldo knows, most people know where this intersection is. I lived about a mile and a half from Bryn Mawr and Broadway. There was a place called the Golden Nugget right there on the corner, Golden Nugget Pancake House. And I feel bad for the people who were walking down the street that night who saw 2 of us throwing up with noodles coming out of our nose from the spaghetti right on the public street.
What a sight. Noodles coming out.
I mean, the dinner was coming up because an hour later. Here comes the Chef Boyardee.
Chris Watts wants to know what Ripple is because it's not over there on his side of the world in the UK.
It's something that was designed to kill us earlier than we did, but we stopped drinking it fast.
That's right. It is the cheapest, highest alcohol wine imaginable.
They'll screw you up. You're 14. You're walking around like a bum, like Otis from Andy Griffith.
That's right. That's right. It was sugar water. It was young people loved Boone's Farm because it was so sugary and it gave you a buzz.
It's like freshman year of high school. You gotta get going.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It came in different flavors like strawberry.
Oh, strawberry, apple, and about 20% alcohol.
and Chris says it's like Mad Dog 2020 or Thunderbird. Yes.
You know what's pathetic? I had them all.
Me too.
Before I was 16, it's pathetic. But you know what? We weren't into the drug thing. We weren't into the drug thing because supposedly marijuana was bad for you at that time.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. You know what time it is, Mike? It is time for us to win some money. Woo! This is the portion of the show where Mike North digs into his secret notes and he determines for us which winners he's going to give us this week. He doesn't want to just share them with other outlets. He wants to share them exclusively right here in the Barroom Network.
Well, we were 1-1 last 2 weeks ago, but I'll tell you what, I've been hot. I was 3-2 Sunday. I was 2-0 with the Chargers in the under Monday. I won with Boston on Tuesday, and last night I won with the Dodgers minus 220. That being said, I'm going to have some fun with everybody. We're going to do some college football.
Cool.
You got Alabama going to Texas A&M. Let me just bring it up here. I want to see if the line's moved at all. Let me go. I haven't talked to the black box, and who doesn't want to talk to a black box?
I still love black.
NCAA odds. Here we go. Thank you, young lady, and I enjoyed you. I'm looking at Alabama. Now, Alabama is just a juggernaut. And they are right now minus 17.5. Okay, against Texas A&M.
All right.
Now, what I would prefer, it will be up to 18 or 19. Jimbo Fisher is not going to get it done there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this guy drank Mad Dog several times with my friends. We were playing cards. I remember that night. You were the one that said, "I'll raise you 500," and you put down nothing. Okay, because you drank the whole bottle. You said, "I got a king."
I got a king.
Mad Dog made you do that. Wine made you do stuff you never dreamt of doing.
Yes.
Okay. No. I'm going to take Alabama on the money line, which means whatever it is. It might be minus 500, minus 600. And I'm going to take Texas A&M getting the points.
Oh, cool.
18.5.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you can win both. Alabama, let's say, wins by 10.
Right.
Okay, which I think they will. You win the money line bet. You had to risk a lot. But last night, folks, I risked 220 to win with the Dodgers. Don't put that in your head.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you lose that game and maybe put less on the money line,
Mm-hmm.
then take Texas A&M the other way, too, getting 17. And if Alabama wins by 17 or less, you win that bet. And if A&M covers with 17 or 16 or 18, you win that. You win both. That's my pick for the day. And also tonight, I have a strong lean. Strong lean.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing concrete yet. But I may put it up later. But I have a strong lean towards Seattle tonight. Russell Wilson, in my world, is the best quarterback, my favorite quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when he was supposed to come to Chicago, folks? Remember all the nonsense? Russell Wilson's coming. Deshaun Watson's coming. Can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm. Please.
Have you heard anything about Deshaun Watson?
He's in hiding. That's what I've heard.
How can anybody in the National Football League Journal, oh, by the way, once again, Alabama, money line, A&M getting the points, shot to win both. Seattle tonight, I like. I really do. They're getting 2 right now. It's Russell Wilson, man.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, I'm sorry. It's Matthew Stafford, once again, showed some flaws last week. He's being asked to do something he never had to do at Detroit. Win. He couldn't beat Mitch. So, I mean, I'm just saying. So now he's got a tough game tonight. A lot of pressure on him. They can't lose 2 in a row. I'm taking Seattle. It's
a game to watch. And I will also let people know that tonight it's Danny Shimon reviewing Chicago Bears tape. And so he's going to take a deep dive into Justin Fields. And then at 1:00, special time to accommodate the White Sox start, the Parisi brothers. They told me, they didn't ask me. They told me we're moving the show to 1:00. And I go, yes, guys, please.
We agree with you. No, I mean, I heard them arguing the other night, and I was like, they were just having fun, debating on something. And I'm listening to the guys. I love them. And
they are close brothers, man. I'll tell you.
I don't need them walking towards me in an alley, but I owe money. I'll have to testify. I still got the speed I once had 30 years ago. The Parisis. But no, it's sports is great right now. The Bear story is both intriguing, baffling, and I think somewhat of a joke to a lot of people within the league. And I think that I just can imagine what Trubisky's telling his teammates in the locker room. I could just imagine. You know, we always hear, what he hasn't said a word, but that whole team was out to destroy Nagy in that preseason game. So there are people, including with the Bears. And let me ask you this, Elds.
That's a good point, Mike.
Do you think that there's some Bear players that won't say anything? I'm going to tell you right now. I haven't talked to Cole Kmet since we were on the air, but I think there's some Bear players, and I'm not saying Cole Kmet's one of them. Maybe he's a young kid. He's got to go for what he's got to go. I think there's some players that would wish Mitch was back. They'll never say anything, but Robinson, I wonder what Allen Robinson is thinking. I still think no matter what happens, he's going to get money next year. He won't get the same money because Nagy has screwed him probably worse than anybody. But he'll get a good contract.
Yeah, sure. Will.
Based on his 4 years with Mitch, not with this. And hopefully Fields will find him. Maybe now Fields will find him, buy some time, hit him with some long passes. But I was against Allen Robinson, and then he convinced me, and they teamed together for 200 receptions. That's a hard tandem to break up. So let's hope everything works out.
Yeah, well, we might see Mitch and A-Rob playing somewhere together next season. Wouldn't that be something, huh?
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
I'm going to throw one your way.
Okay. I'm ready.
This is just far-fetched because this will never happen. But Nagy gets fired. Pace gets fired. Okay? Justin Fields does okay, but not what they thought. Dalton's gone. Foles is finished, and he shouldn't be on the team now. I think we agree on that. That he's taking up a spot. 5 teams after Trubisky. Will the Bears be a 6th team with a new coach? Let's say Daboll gets the job from Buffalo. It won't be the first time a quarterback's come back to the scene. Would you be interested in that with a different play caller and head coach?
Wow. First of all, I don't.
And I'm not. And Justin may still beat him out. I'm just saying.
Sure.
Nothing against him. But let's say Justin doesn't work out, or at least looks still green, and they need somebody else, and they got rid of Dalton and they got rid of Foles.
Right.
I think it would be tough for Mitch to go back there, but I think, is that a possibility? Maybe 1%.
I would say about 1%. I think Mitch wants to be a starter, and so that's what he's going to look for first and foremost. He might even take less money from a team to be the starter than to be a higher paid backup somewhere else.
Well, I heard he could have done that this year, but he looked at a couple of the teams.
Right.
I think he really loved the Bears. I think Mitch Trubisky loved the Bears and the Bear players and the fans. I do. And he, Chubbs is right. I was just giving up an analogy or something like that. Okay. But, stranger things might not have happened. But I think if we look back in time, Aldo, stranger things have happened.
Right.
Where somebody's brought back. I think there's been head coaches that have been brought back twice. Joe Gibbs. You know what I mean? That didn't work out, though. So we'll see.
That didn't work out. But I'll tell you one thing. Mitch is a great guy, and the only mistake he made was not inviting you to his wedding. That's the only mistake he made.
Let me tell you the mistake. I can't believe the guy hasn't invited me out to dinner. I can't believe the guy hasn't flown me to Buffalo. I've done more for him, his image in this town, trying to keep it on a positive roll than his damn agent has. I don't even know what his damn agent is. You think Cole Kmet or any of these other guys would tell him, hey, this guy North is fighting for you? Or does he know it and he's leaving me out to hang?
Right.
But nobody's fought harder than him. Who deserves the 10% more? Me or his damn agent who got him a second string job? Because in my opinion, you're talking to a guy in 1992. I'm not going to mind boggle you. I'll say 96. In 96, this is 24 years ago, made as much money as he's making now. If you're going to prorate everything as a talk show host. And I did my own negotiating with high-powered people. So how does an agent walk in with a quarterback that's 29 and 21, basically won with a team that had a great defense, and that window's going to close? We haven't talked about that, folks. That window's going to close. If you're Khalil Mack today, you're saying to yourself, who's having a better year? Or Robert Quinn.
Yeah.
Are we not going to make the playoffs because of this quarterback situation again? I'm getting older. I'm not the same player I was.
Yes.
And I said this last week, and I'm going to continue to stay. You give Justin Fields defense, keep playing like you're playing. I know it's Detroit that you beat, but I don't care. It's a National Football League team. And give Justin Fields a short field.
There you go. That's very important.
He had in 2018.
Yeah. Well, and Chubb says, and he has said it many times, he thinks Nagy sabotaged Mitch.
Well, after game 3, after being 3-0, and I know Foles brought him back, but now seeing Foles still on the team and Mitch gone, only in science fiction would that happen, or with the Chicago Bears. Foles is on the team still, and Mitch is gone. And Dalton, and everybody's going, Mitch is a second stringer. No, Mike. Okay, and you're right. That's legitimate, right, Al? What was Dalton last year?
Dalton was a mediocre quarterback for the Cowboys.
And a second stringer.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I would ask everybody this. If you want to start looking around, okay, really, literally, Justin Fields was a backup this year. So the kid that's a backup now that got us to the playoffs is gone. He gets chastised for being a backup, yet we signed a backup again to be a starter. So this whole thing doesn't make sense to me. I think Nagy's gone after this year if things don't get better. I think they're going to let him maybe play out their contract. But let's say they lose 3 more games in a row. You know where the heat's coming. It's not coming on the quarterback, right, Elds? It's going to come on the guy that's been here the whole time that this thing has happened.
That's right. It should come back on Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy, and those guys should be.
Do you think Pace made the decision? Because I do. On Fields.
Start. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Give me the fist, buddy. Give
there
me
you
the
go.
fist. Give me the fist. Pace said, are you out of your mind? We're probably not going anywhere. This buys us some time, maybe. And do you think that Nagy, I know Nagy sounded like he wasn't for it, but do you think that Nagy was promised another year if he went along with this?
No, I don't think that they had to do that. I think that Ryan Pace
finally said enough.
Yeah. I think Ryan Pace reportedly, this is the last year of his contract. Now, he would not answer questions about whether he was extended, which leads me to believe he was extended, and they don't want the public to know because they would be in uproar. Why would you extend this guy when he hasn't been doing his job? But we'll see. I don't know. It's a pickle the Bears organization is in, and how long have we said that for? It's year after year after year after. Nobody has suffered more than you as a Bears fan.
I think the bar room has been, because our numbers are going up, has been enhanced by this. If everything's going good for a football team, believe me, take it from a guy that took phone calls. I remember the 72-10 Bulls year. When they won, the calls would be there, but minimal.
Yeah.
They could be 19-1. They'd lose. Jordan would have like we're screwed. We're screwed. We lost. How did this happen?
It is true, right?
So negativity, I'm here to tell you, soap opera is what sells now, and that's what the Bears have. Who did this? Or this is a whodunit. Mystery. Who did this? Who made that call? This is all part of the package that brings more interest to this football team. Not maybe interest that they want.
I like what Chubb says here. It says, optimistically, I would like to believe that Nagy had a moment of humility after being talked to by someone, maybe in his family or someone he trusts, about his petty arrogance. And maybe that's true. Maybe somebody got to Matt and say, Matt, stop thinking about me. Think about what's really good for the team.
You mean since 2 days ago?
Yes, exactly.
I don't think so.
No?
I think what they said is, though, you're going along with this move. You're going along with this move. And if you sell anything else, if you say, the move has to go through me, this move goes through me. Yeah, I made my I mean, he sounded like a guy that was forced to go along with something yesterday. He did not really sell Justin Fields like another head coaches or other head would do it. He didn't do it.
Yep. All right, Mule has the final thought. He says, come on, Mike, you and I have walked with guys with hats much tougher than the Parisi brothers.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, and I agree. They don't have my address, do they?
I didn't get it from me.
I'm not getting myself in no trouble with the Parisis. Besides, I'm Italian. They don't turn. We're Italian. I'm half Italian, though. I'm a Metagon. Look out! I'm like Henry Hill, Irish and Italian. So I'm just saying.
But you're no rat.
They look full blown. Italian.
You're no rat, though. You're not like Henry.
I'm not a rat, and I will say this about the Parisis. They are wonderful, beautiful men that might have been born with 5 o'clock shadows back in the day.
And they will be on at 1 o'clock to preview the White Sox.
I said that. I didn't say that.
No.
I said they know everything about hockey that nobody else knows. Just tell them that or whatever they're talking about.
I just got a message from them. They say, we're watching. All right. Say goodbye to your friends.
Don't kill the president of the fan club, no matter what.
Don't ever do that.
Don't kill the president of the fan club.
All right, brother. I will see you next week. We'll be talking about a Bears win in Las Vegas.
I'll tell you what, if they win the game, it's a whole different show.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a whole different show and onward and upward. But the next 4 games, I don't think any Bear quarterback, even Cutler, has played in 4 tougher games than Justin's going to have to play in.
Right. Yeah, that's good.
It would be hard to find that, Elds. Good. Mm-hmm. Hey, have a good one, everybody.
All right.